Bruce Lee is a legendary martial artist who captivated audiences in television shows like The Green Hornet and movies like Enter the Dragon and Fist of Fury. Known for his astonishing speed punches and blindfolded combat mastery, Bruce also stunned the world by skillfully using nunchucks to play table tennis. Showcasing his unparalleled precision and agility. Today, we delve into his extraordinary feats. Join us as we explore Bruce Lee's iconic moments that, without video proof, would seem utterly impossible. Early life. Bruce Lee, born Lee Jun-fan on November 27, 1940 in San Francisco, California, was a beacon of martial arts and film long before his name echoed globally. His birth during his parents' opera tour in the US granted him citizenship, a twist of fate that later facilitated his return to America. By April 1941, just 4 months old, Lee and his family were back in Hong Kong, not foreseeing the hardships ahead as World War II reached their doorstep. Growing up in a vibrant cultural mix, with a Cantonese father, Lee Hoi Chuen, a renowned opera singer, and a mother, Grace Ho, of Eurasian descent, Lee was poised for a life of contrast and influence. His exposure to the entertainment world began early, with his first appearance in the film Golden Gate Girl as an infant. By the age of 9, he had already co-starred with his father in the film The Kid, based on the comic book character Kid Chung, marking his first leading role. Lee's education began just blocks from his home at Tak Soon School, eventually leading him to the primary division of the Catholic LaSalle College at age 12. Lee's penchant for martial arts was ignited when his family friend William Chung introduced him to the legendary Ip Man in 1953. Initially barred from learning Wing Chun Kung Fu due to his mixed ancestry, Lee was eventually accepted into Ip Man's school, signaling the start of a transformative journey in martial arts. Despite facing resistance from other students over his mixed heritage, Lee's dedication saw him training privately with notables such as Ip Man and Wang Shunliang. His academic journey was tumultuous, leading to a transfer to St. Francis Xavier's College due to poor performance and conduct. It was here, under the mentorship of brother Edward Muss, a Bavarian-born teacher and coach of the school boxing team, that Lee's physical prowess began to shine through disciplined training. By 1956, his involvement in numerous street fights compelled his parents to focus his energy positively through structured martial arts training. Lee's prowess became evident when he won the Hong Kong School's boxing tournament in 1958, knocking out the previous champion, Gary Elms. That same year, he also excelled off the mat, winning the Crown Colony Cha-Cha Championship, showcasing his diverse talents. Transition to America. In the late 1950s, Bruce Lee's life in Hong Kong reached a turning point. His frequent street fights, including a notable incident where he beat the son of a feared triad family, started to escalate. By 1958, the consequences of these brawls became more serious. During a rooftop fight with students from a rival Choi Lee Foot martial arts school, Bruce delivered a punch so powerful, it knocked out one of his opponent's teeth. This led to a police complaint by the boy's parents, and subsequently, a tense visit by Bruce's mother to the police station. She had to sign a document promising to take full responsibility for his actions in exchange for his release. The severity of his street fighting prompted his mother to consider a drastic change. Fearing further trouble, she suggested that Bruce return to the United States to claim his US citizenship. At 18, his prospects in Hong Kong looked bleak, not just from a legal standpoint, but also his potential collegiate opportunities. Bruce's father agreed, seeing little promise if his son stayed. In a dire warning, a police detective expressed it clearly, stating if Bruce got into one more fight, he might end up in jail. This fear of potential incarceration was a strong push towards a new path. In April of 1959, the decision was made. Bruce would move back to the United States, starting his journey in San Francisco to stay with his older sister, Agnes Lee, who was living there with family friends. After a few months, he relocated to Seattle, continuing his high school education and working as a live-in waiter at Ruby Chow's restaurant. It was here in Seattle that Bruce began laying the foundational stones of his future in martial arts on American soil. 1959 also marked the year Bruce began teaching martial arts. He developed his own approach to Wing Chun, which he called Jun Fan Gung Fu, literally, Bruce Lee's Kung Fu. His teaching started informally with friends he met in Seattle, including judo practitioner Jesse Glover. Glover and others would help Bruce refine his style and spread his teachings. Bruce's commitment to martial arts was solidified when he opened his first martial arts school, the Lee Jun Fan Gung Fu Institute, in Seattle. His teaching philosophy was beginning to take shape, focusing not just on physical techniques, but also on the philosophical underpinnings of martial arts. Bruce's academic life also progressed during this time. He completed his high school education at Edison Technical School on Capitol Hill in Seattle, receiving his diploma and taking a significant step towards broader educational pursuits. In March of 1961, he enrolled at the University of Washington, diving into a range of subjects that included dramatic arts, philosophy, and psychology. While many believe Bruce majored in philosophy, university records from a 1999 article indicate his official major was actually drama. Bruce's time at the university was a period of growth and exploration, but his passion for martial arts never waned. In early 1964, a pivotal year, Bruce dropped out of university. He moved to Oakland to live with James Yim Lee, a well-respected Chinese martial artist 20 years his senior. Together, they opened the second Jun Fan martial arts studio, the birth of Jeet Kune Do. In 1966, Bruce Lee burst onto the American television scene as Kato in The Green Hornet, marking the first popular American show to feature Asian-style martial arts. Produced by William Dozier and based on the radio show of the same name, The Green Hornet aired for one season, spanning 26 episodes from September 1966 to March 1967. Alongside Van Williams, who played the title character, Lee brought martial arts to the forefront of American culture. Bruce Lee's portrayal of Kato was revolutionary. The show's directors initially wanted Lee to fight using conventional American boxing techniques, but Lee insisted on showcasing his martial arts expertise. His movements were so fast that they initially couldn't be captured clearly on camera, requiring him to slow them down. During the production of The Green Hornet, Lee befriended Gene LaBelle, a stuntman on the show. The two exchanged martial arts knowledge, which enriched Lee's understanding and appreciation for various fighting styles. Despite the show's cancellation in 1967, Lee recognized its impact on his career, famously thanking the producer for starting his journey in show business. Post-Green Hornet, Lee found himself temporarily out of work, which led him to open the Jun Fan Gung Fu Institute. His experiences during this time, particularly the controversial match with Wong Jackman, profoundly influenced his martial arts philosophy. Lee felt that the traditional Wing Chun techniques he used were inadequate in the chaotic nature of street fighting. This realization spurred him to develop a new martial arts system emphasizing practicality, flexibility, speed, and efficiency. This new system, initially called Jun Fan Gung Fu, evolved into what Lee called Jeet Kune Do, or the way of the intercepting fist. In Jeet Kune Do, Lee emphasized the style of no style, a concept that advocated for a fluid, adaptive approach to martial arts that transcends the rigidity of traditional forms. This philosophy of martial arts being boundless and adaptable became the cornerstone of Jeet Kune Do, despite Lee later regretting the formal implications of the name itself. Hollywood stardom. While Lee initially captured America's attention with his role in The Green Hornet, his ideas and martial arts expertise were yet to be fully embraced by Hollywood's mainstream. In 1971, Lee showcased his unique martial arts philosophy on the American television series Longstreet, playing the martial arts instructor Lee Tsung. Despite his growing popularity, Lee faced substantial challenges in Hollywood. Around the same time, he pitched a television series called The Warrior, which aimed to fuse the Western genre with martial arts. Although Warner Brothers acknowledged his pitch, they eventually cast non-martial artist David Carradine in the retooled series Kung Fu, attributing their decision to Lee's accent and ethnicity, according to producer Fred Weintraub. Disappointed but undeterred, Lee returned to Hong Kong, where he was surprised to find himself a celebrated star from The Green Hornet, affectionately known as The Kato Show. This recognition led him to sign a film contract with Golden Harvest, propelling him to stardom with his first major film, The Big Boss, in 1971, which broke box office records across Asia. Lee's next film, Fist of Fury, in 1972, surpassed his previous success and solidified his status as a cinematic icon. He continued to break the mold by forming his own company, Concord Production Incorporated, and took complete control of his third film, The Way of the Dragon. He not only starred in but also directed, wrote, and choreographed the fight scenes, showcasing his encounter with karate champion Chuck Norris in what became one of cinema's most famous fight scenes. As his star ascended, Lee began work on Game of Death, but the project was put on hold when Warner Brothers offered him the lead in Enter the Dragon, a joint venture that marked Hollywood's first major co-production with a Hong Kong studio. Filming began in Hong Kong in February 1973 and concluded quickly in April of the same year. Tragically, Bruce Lee died just days before the premiere of Enter the Dragon. Despite his untimely death, the film was a monumental success, grossing over $400 million worldwide and igniting global interest in martial arts. Enter the Dragon became one of the highest-grossing films of the year and immortalized Bruce Lee as a martial arts legend, inspiring an entire generation with his philosophy and physical prowess. The two-finger push-up and one-inch punch. One of Bruce Lee's most iconic contributions to martial arts is undoubtedly the one-inch punch, a technique that showcased his extraordinary power and mastery over kinetic energy. This punch was first demonstrated publicly at the Long Beach International Karate Championships in 1964. Bruce Lee's one-inch punch is exactly what it sounds like. Unlike traditional punches, where the striker needs considerable distance to generate power, Lee would deliver a devastating blow from just 1 inch away. His technique defied conventional physics understandings and power generation in martial arts. Typically, a martial artist would need to swing with a full range to deliver a knockout power, but Lee's approach was different. He would stand upright, his right foot forward, knees slightly bent, with his right arm partly extended and his fist just 1 inch away from the target. His volunteer, Bob Baker. The execution was simple, yet shocking. Without retracting his arm, Lee delivered the punch, maintaining most of his upright posture. The impact sent Baker hurtling backward, toppling into a chair strategically placed behind him to prevent injury, though the sheer force still caused him to tumble to the ground. The impact was so severe that Baker later remarked that he told Bruce not to do that type of demonstration again. He further stated that when Bruce punched him that last time, he had to stay home from work because the pain in my chest was unbearable. At the same event, Bruce Lee also showcased a 6-inch punch, which, while not as famous as the 1-inch punch, still demonstrated his incredible ability to generate force over short distances. During a demonstration, Lee compared his technique to that of a karate practitioner's attempt on an audience member in protective gear. The difference was clear. While the karate practitioner's effort made the audience member stagger back a few steps, Lee's 6-inch punch sent the same person flying back into his chair, the protective pad flying off. Building on this exhibition of control and strength, Bruce Lee further demonstrated his physical prowess with an even more challenging feat. A standard push-up challenges the upper body, engaging muscles from the core to the shoulders and arms. For most, performing a standard push-up requires significant effort, involving a series of movements to lift and lower the body with control. However, for Bruce Lee, a man who dedicated immense effort to honing his physical strength, the standard push-up was just the beginning. While many people incorporate variations into their push-up routines to increase difficulty, such as adding claps or using one hand, Bruce Lee took this to an entirely different level. He performed push-ups using only 2 fingers of his right hand. Imagine the incredible strength and balance required to not only support the body with just 2 fingers, but also to perform multiple push-ups in this manner. Bruce Lee's 2-finger push-up became one of his most talked-about physical feats. It wasn't merely for show. This exercise demonstrated his peak physical condition and his ability to control his body in ways that seemed nearly superhuman. The legendary duel with Wong Jackman. In 1964, in Oakland's Chinatown, a pivotal event unfolded in Bruce Lee's martial arts career. A private match with Wong Jackman, a master in Xingyiquan, Northern Shaolin, and Tai Chi. This match wasn't just about 2 fighters testing their skills. It was steeped in cultural tensions and the future of martial arts instruction in America. The background of this clash begins with the Chinese martial arts community's disapproval of Lee teaching non-Chinese students. They issued an ultimatum demanding he cease teaching non-Chinese or face a challenge. Defiant, Lee refused to comply, which led to the scheduling of the match against Wong. The terms were clear. If Lee lost, he would stop teaching non-Chinese students. If he won, he could continue his inclusive teaching approach. Wong Jackman, however, presented a different motive for the fight. He claimed the match was prompted by Lee's public boast at a Chinatown theater, asserting he could defeat anyone in San Francisco. Wong stated that his challenge was a response to this boast, not motivated by racial issues, as he did not discriminate against non-Chinese students. The match was witnessed by a select few, including Linda Lee Cadwell, James Lee, and William Chen, a teacher of Tai Chi. Accounts of the fight's duration and nature varied significantly. Wong and William Chen reported that the fight lasted an unusually long 20 to 25 minutes. Wong described the encounter as intense, with Lee attacking aggressively and with lethal intent from the outset. He claimed that Lee attempted a dangerous spear hand strike aimed at his eyes during what was supposed to be a traditional handshake of respect. In defense, Wong restrained himself from using lethal force, despite having opportunities, because he was aware of the legal repercussions that could follow. He admitted to using illegal cufflinks under his sleeves as part of his defense strategy. Michael Dorgan's 1980 book, Bruce Lee's Toughest Fight, suggested that the bout ended not with a decisive blow by either fighter, but because Lee was unusually winded. In stark contrast, Bruce Lee, his wife Linda Lee Cadwell, and associate James Yim Lee provided a much shorter timeline. They claimed the fight lasted only 3 minutes, ending with a decisive victory for Lee. According to Cadwell, Lee swiftly brought Wong to the ground, asked if he surrendered, to which Wong conceded defeat. Following the bout, Lee subtly acknowledged his victory in an interview, referencing an unnamed opponent, clearly alluding to Wong. Wong responded by publishing his version of the events in the Pacific Weekly, a San Francisco-based Chinese-language newspaper. He even extended an invitation for a public rematch to Bruce Lee, challenging the portrayal of the initial fight. Lee, known for his readiness to confront any provocation, surprisingly did not respond to Wong's challenge. Turning table tennis on its head, Bruce Lee was not only a maestro of hand-to-hand combat, but also a virtuoso in handling traditional martial arts weapons, particularly the nunchucks. Known for their complexity, nunchucks consist of 2 sticks linked by a short chain or rope, and demand a high degree of coordination to use effectively. Bruce Lee, however, didn't just master these intricate tools. He redefined their use in astonishing ways. Picture this: Bruce Lee playing table tennis with nunchucks instead of a paddle. In an incredible demonstration of skill, there exists footage of Bruce Lee turning a table tennis game into an exhibition of his nunchuck prowess. This scene, part of a backstage video montage for a film, showcases Lee facing 2 competent players at once. Table tennis, a sport that typically demands lightning-fast reflexes, precision, and agility, was transformed by Lee's unorthodox method. Rather than using a conventional paddle, he employed his nunchucks to strike the ball, displaying an exceptional level of control and precision. In the video, Lee's mastery over the nunchucks is evident as he manipulates them with a fluidity that makes them seem like natural extensions of his arms. The nunchucks whip through the air, striking the ping-pong ball with accuracy and speed that his opponents find difficult to match. His adaptability turns the game on its head, as he not only keeps up with the rapid exchanges but also overwhelmingly outplays his challengers. Speedy punches and the legendary blindfolded battle. Bruce Lee's fighting style, which was a fusion of various techniques that he molded into Jeet Kune Do, often left his opponents in awe and a step behind. His ability to deliver a punch before an opponent could even begin to mount a defense was nothing short of legendary. This aspect of his martial prowess was vividly demonstrated in an iconic encounter with Victor Moore at a martial arts exhibition. Victor Moore, who held a 10th degree black belt in karate and was a 4-time world karate champion, represented a formidable challenge. The setting was the Long Beach International Karate Championships in 1967, a venue that had seen Bruce Lee mesmerize crowds before. During this exhibition, Bruce Lee decided to demonstrate his speed with a direct challenge to Moore. The task was simple. Moore was to block a punch from Bruce Lee, a test of his defensive skills against Lee's speed. As spectators watched, the 2 martial artists took their positions. Bruce Lee's challenge was not just a display of skill, but also a test of precision and control. He threw not one, but two punches in quick succession towards Moore. The punches were thrown with such speed and finesse that, while they didn't physically strike Moore, the intention and capability were clear. Moore, despite his high skill level and readiness, could not visibly react in time to block them. Among Bruce Lee's extraordinary displays was a blindfolded fight that showcased not just his martial prowess, but his almost supernatural sense of awareness. During an exhibition a few years before his untimely death, Bruce Lee participated in a demonstration that would remain etched in the annals of martial arts history. In this exhibition, he was challenged to spar while blindfolded, a test that would seem reckless to even the most skilled martial artists. However, for Bruce, it was an opportunity to display the depth of his mastery. The scene begins with Bruce and his sparring partner engaging in close combat, each move and countermove bringing a swift exchange of skills. To the untrained eye, they appeared evenly matched, but Bruce was merely biding his time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And strike he did, with such precision and speed that his opponent was dispatched in less than a minute. But the spectacle didn't end there. Not content with being floored once, the sparring partner rose to challenge Bruce again. Remarkably, in the second round, Bruce ended the bout even more quickly than the first, this time in what seemed like just 5 seconds. Both of these bouts occurred while Bruce was still blindfolded, relying solely on his other senses and his intrinsic knowledge of spatial and bodily awareness. The third round was no different. Bruce's opponent, despite his best efforts, could not penetrate Bruce's defenses, and once again, he was swiftly taken down. Observers of the event could only marvel at Bruce's ability to control the fight, his movements so assured and effective that his lack of sight seemed irrelevant. The Dragon Flag. The Dragon Flag is not your typical core exercise. It's an advanced move that involves a high degree of muscular control and strength, making it a favorite among elite athletes but a challenge for even the most seasoned fitness enthusiasts. To perform a Dragon Flag, you begin by lying down on a bench with your hands grasping a pole or a sturdy structure positioned behind the head. This is not just about lifting your body. It's about elevating it in a controlled, inverted push-up, keeping your body straight and rigid like a flag on a flagpole. Here's the catch. Once elevated, the goal is to hold your body parallel to the ground, only supported by your upper back and shoulders, maintaining a near-perfect horizontal line from shoulders to toes. This position puts immense stress on the core and upper body, demanding extraordinary balance and abdominal strength to maintain the form without bending or twisting. Why did Bruce Lee favor such an intense exercise? For Bruce, the Dragon Flag was more than just physical training. It was about pushing the boundaries of what was physically possible, reinforcing his philosophy that limits exist to be transcended. This exercise was particularly effective in building the kind of core strength necessary for martial arts, where power, speed, and agility are paramount. Moreover, the Dragon Flag helped improve his flexibility and overall body coordination, critical elements in his fluid fighting style. Personal life. Bruce met his future wife, Linda Emery, while studying at the University of Washington. At a time when interracial marriages were still frowned upon in many parts of the United States, Bruce and Linda married secretly in August 1964. This union brought forth 2 children, Brandon in 1965 and Shannon in 1969. Linda played a crucial role in preserving Bruce Lee's legacy after his untimely death, promoting his martial art, Jeet Kune Do, and authoring books about his life which inspired the 1993 film, Dragon, the Bruce Lee Story. Bruce Lee was a dedicated father. His son Brandon often visited movie sets with him and inherited his passion for acting. Bruce personally taught him martial arts, a skill that Brandon would carry into his own brief but impactful acting career, starring in films such as Showdown in Little Tokyo and Rapid Fire. Tragically, Brandon's life was cut short under similar tragic circumstances as his father, dying at the age of 28 due to an accidental shooting on the set of The Crow. Shannon Lee also followed in her father's footsteps, delving into the world of acting and martial arts. Under the tutelage of Richard Bustillo, one of Bruce's students, she honed her skills in Jeet Kune Do. Shannon's commitment to her father's legacy extends beyond the screen. She oversees the Bruce Lee Foundation and works tirelessly to promote her father's philosophy and teachings. Bruce Lee, renowned globally for his martial arts prowess, was also a passionate poet. His poetry, much like his fighting style, was a medium through which he expressed his profound emotional depth and philosophical beliefs. Lee's poetic works were initially handwritten. These pieces were later compiled and edited by John Little, helping to present Lee's inner thoughts to a wider audience. Lee's wife, Linda Lee Cadwell, shared that his poems often explored the darker corners of the human psyche, resonating with the intensity seen in the works of famous poets like Robert Frost. Bruce's poetry is characterized by themes of paradox and anti-poetry, challenging conventional forms to express complex truths about human nature and existence. Death and legacy. The untimely demise of Bruce Lee on July 20th, 1973, continues to intrigue and sadden fans worldwide. Lee's death, at the young age of 32, not only left a void in the martial arts and film industries, but also sparked numerous theories and speculations about the cause of his death. Bruce Lee's final day began like many others, steeped in the world of cinema. He was in Hong Kong to meet with actor George Lazenby, planning a future film collaboration. Earlier that day, Lee had been discussing another upcoming project, Game of Death, with producer Raymond Chow at Lee's home. After their meeting, they visited the apartment of Taiwanese actress Betty Ting Pei, a colleague of Lee, to go over the script. As the evening approached, instead of heading out to dinner with Chow, Lee opted to rest and took a nap at Pei's apartment. When he failed to show up for dinner, Chow returned to the apartment and found Lee unresponsive. Efforts by a summoned doctor to revive Lee were futile, and he was quickly transported to Queen Elizabeth Hospital, where he was declared dead upon arrival. At his funeral, held on July 25, 1973, in Seattle, Bruce Lee's casket was carried by pallbearers who were close friends and admirers, including Taiki Kimura, Steve McQueen, James Coburn, Dan Inosanto, Peter Chin, and his brother, Robert Lee. Bruce Lee's death was officially attributed to cerebral edema, a swelling of the brain. Just 2 months prior, Lee had collapsed during an ADR session for Enter the Dragon, due to the same issue. At that time, he was rushed to Hong Kong Baptist Hospital and recovered after the swelling was reduced with the administration of mannitol. However, the cerebral edema re-emerged fatally. Forensic scientist Donald T.R., who conducted the autopsy, concluded that the cerebral edema was caused by a reaction to compounds in Equagesic, a painkiller that Lee had ingested. Despite the official explanation, alternate theories continued to emerge. Some speculated involvement of the triads, others suggested a family curse. Recent investigations have offered new perspectives. In 2018, author Matthew Polly suggested that the removal of Lee's underarm sweat glands might have contributed to an inability to regulate his body heat, proposing heat stroke as a contributing factor to his cerebral edema. Furthermore, in December 2022, the Clinical Kidney Journal published an article hypothesizing that Lee's death was due to hyponatremia, an acute low-sodium condition exacerbated by Lee's high water intake, alcohol consumption, and the use of diuretic substances. Bruce Lee remains an unparalleled figure in martial arts and popular culture, transcending time with his influence and legacy. Known not only for his martial prowess but for his philosophies and innovation, Lee bridged East and West, forever changing how Asian Americans are perceived in media. Bruce Lee revolutionized martial arts, introducing Jeet Kune Do, which emphasized adaptability, efficiency, and simplicity. This style of no-style dismantled traditional martial arts' rigid structures, laying the groundwork for mixed martial arts. Icons like Dana White, UFC founder, regard Lee as the father of MMA, praising his ahead-of-his-time concepts that echo in the UFC today. Fighters across generations, from Sugar Ray Leonard to Conor McGregor, have drawn inspiration from Lee's techniques and fighting philosophy. His impact extended beyond martial arts into global action cinema through the kung fu craze of the 1970s. Lee's films, like Enter the Dragon, not only captivated audiences, but also reshaped action choreography and cinema worldwide. His dynamic fight scenes, combining philosophy with extraordinary physicality, made martial arts a crucial element of action filmmaking. Directors from John Woo to Quentin Tarantino cite Lee as a major influence, admiring his ability to blend dramatic storytelling with martial arts. Moreover, Lee's films broke significant racial barriers in Hollywood. At a time when Asian Americans faced stereotypical portrayals, Lee portrayed strength and charisma, countering prevailing stereotypes and helping to shift perceptions of Asian masculinity in the West. Marvel Comics' Stan Lee cited Bruce Lee as an inspiration for characters like Shang-Chi and Iron Fist, while early breakdancing pioneers mimicked his moves, infusing their art with his style and spirit. Globally, Lee's influence permeated various cultures and genres. In India, his movies sparked a trend of martial arts in Bollywood films, which continues to this day. In Japan, his style and ethos influenced iconic anime series like Dragon Ball and Fist of the North Star, shaping the landscape of Japanese media. Statues of Lee stand around the world, from Hong Kong to Los Angeles, and even Mostar in Bosnia and Herzegovina, symbolizing his role as a unifier and an icon beyond borders. These statues, alongside the theme park in Junin and proposals for new memorials, underscore his lasting impact. There are plans to convert his Hong Kong home into a museum. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.